You're watching an amazing podcast from an amazing podcast company.
What's up, Mob Talk Associates? Jimmy Naples, Johnny Chechitelli. We're here for another Youngstown Mob Talk Live. We got to thank our sponsors right off the bat. Youngstown Tile. Go bold, go local, go Youngstown Tile. If you're looking for fantastic flooring, Youngstown Tile's got it, so make sure you check them out. Youngstown Clothing Company. They make great clothing. You can check them out online, or you can check them out at the Southern Park Mall. Also, we can't forget, if you need a ride, go see Jeff and the boys down at Pro Team Auto Sales on South Avenue. They've been a sponsor since we started this off in the beginning, and they're like family to us. So check those guys out. We appreciate our sponsors. If it wasn't for our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue to keep bringing you this great content
Jimmy,
that we do.
Tell these folks where we are today.
Today, we are at Chauvin Career and Technical Center. We are actually in my classroom filming this. We're getting ready to build a brand new podcast studio in here, but until then, we're in here, and so we have our students were here. They were helping us with pre-production, and they were shooting some documentary footage. So they're going to have that for their documentary coming up here later on this year that they're putting together.
This place is great. This is such a hidden gem. Youngstown City Schools should be so proud of this place. If I wish they had this kind of stuff, when I went to high school, but this is awesome, man. It really is. And first of all, I got to say, Jim, you missed our last episode of Youngstown Mob Talk. For anybody who didn't know, the Youngstown teachers went on strike. So strike is over. Thankfully, everybody's back.
Yeah, thank God. That's all over and done with. And everybody put the bad blood behind them, so to speak. And we're back here. We're teaching our kids where we want to be. I'm glad that's all said and done with. And we can get moving forward with progress.
Absolutely.
Instead of standing still. So.
It's important to, have the teachers back in school, have the students back in school. Everybody's learning. School year's starting up. I'm sure we'll do plenty more episodes here at Chauvin.
Yeah. And like I said, we have the business and entrepreneurial students here. We had my class was here, of course. So, it's just wanted them to kind of see what we do when we do a podcast, what's all involved.
Absolutely. That's something. Well, listen, it's, again, we just can't thank the school enough for hosting us here, and big friends of Youngstown Mob Talk. All right, now we're joined by our special guest for the week, Mr. Bob Golub. He is a stand-up comedian, an actor, a writer, wears a lot of hats, probably a lot more than that as well. He's joining us today from Hollywood, California. Even though West Hollywood, he's got roots right in the Mahoning Valley, the Shenango Valley, this area here. Bob, thanks for joining us. Tell everybody real quick where you're from.
Well, I grew up in Sharon, Pennsylvania, right over the border. I mean, literally on the border, and that's where I grew up. I used to be able to drink 18 in Ohio at the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who's not from the region and the area, we're talking about Western Pennsylvania, right on the Ohio border there.
Literally.
But that is considered Youngstown mob territory. That's the Pittsburgh family at the end of the mob there, but it was always considered part of the territory of the Youngstown guys. So Bob's got some great stories we're going to get to. First of all, thank you so much. You might recognize Bob. Our audience should recognize you. They're like, where? I know that guy. I've only seen him a million times in my favorite movie of all time, right? Goodfellas. We'll get to this story in a minute, but Bob has a speaking role in Goodfellas. Such a cool connection. We did an episode where we discussed Goodfellas and the mob ties, the Youngstown mob ties, and things of that nature to Youngstown, and how they used a Youngstown Vindicator in the scene in Ray Liotta's final scene when they film his witness protection scene. For whatever reason, they made up Ohio, even though he didn't go really to witness protection in Ohio. They just picked Ohio, and so the scene, the camera pans by a license plate on a car. It says Ohio. Ray comes out in a bathrobe. as Henry Hill. He bends down, he picks up a paper, says he's just another schnook, and it's a copy of the Youngstown Vindicator. So we actually covered all that in a previous Youngstown Mob Talk. If you're watching this, we'll put the link below. Check that episode out. We go through all the connections of Youngstown, almost all the connections of the Mahoning Valley. We got the biggest one here, our biggest thing we left out. So, our audience will know you from Goodfellas. Tell us real quick, how great was that experience?
Oh, I mean, you know, we talked about this once briefly, about how you grow up, how I grew up one of 8 kids, nothing. No one's ever get you boxed. I wrestled, I know Ray back there.
Boom
And
Boom Mancini,
nobody,
Ray Mancini, for anybody who's
yeah,
out of the loop.
and Eddie, from Married with Children.
Ed
I mean,
O'Neill,
my
absolutely.
connections to Youngstown goes way back, from traffic camp. I mean, just, you know, it's in my system, and when you grow up the way we grew up, and I say we, kind of blue collar, and no one gives you nothing. You have to fight for your own things, and that's why I was able to get in Goodfellas. I mean, to be honest with you, to drive in naivete, just so. I mean,
And we'll talk about how you got the role in a
right.
minute, but just overall the experience. I mean, was that your first big Hollywood movie?
It's the only movie, man. It's like I'm not an I wasn't an actor. I was a comic. I was a stand-up comic. It
Mhm.
was, you know, it's like whatever you decide what you want to do in life and you achieve it, regardless of what it is. I mean, it's kind of a rocky story, really, if you think about it. All he wanted was a shot. All I wanted was an audition, and when I got to that, that was I don't know, in life, you work at something, and then when you achieve it, you go, "Oh man, that was great." And the trials and tribulations getting there could be tough, And when even when I wrestled, I was a 4-year letterman, the first 4-year letterman in my high school, And then when I boxed, I mean, I boxed lifers in prison,
Yeah.
So you no one's there behind you. You know what I mean? It's not baseball. You mix the ball, someone gets it. Or basketball. It's always one on one boxing, wrestling one on one, sex. I'll leave that alone. So it's like there's no one there. You know what I mean? So when you achieve that, it's you. I always wondered if I ever get an award. I always wanted to thank myself. Well, Westmacall already did that. The black rapper, what's his name? I love. He thanked himself. You got to thank yourself.
Yeah.
Like everyone thanks everybody else. No, me, man. I'm the one there doing it. So when you grow up with 8 kids and not having any money, it's violin. It's the truth. You were poor. No one's there. No one's there to back you. So when you achieve something, it feels great, great. I mean, it's really, I don't know if the word ethereal, whatever it is. It just
Yeah.
feels unbelievable.
Well, and of all the movies to land, that is the one that it's one of the, 5 of all time that people will just watch over and over and over whenever it comes on TV. So, you
It's
hit the
really weird.
jackpot.
Like who would know, right? It's 30 years later, and people so my daughter's 17 now, right? And she goes to school out here. Her friends watch it. So now I'm going like third generations of people watching this. And
Yeah.
so you're getting a whole new audience every time. Listen, who would know when you go for something that, and you achieve it, it's going to turn out to be this. Even if I get a series, my own series, which I've all came close to getting different times. I'm all when I die, it's going to say from Goodfellas. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I mean, I could start with Stallone in the film, and they're gonna say, well, oh, he died. He was in Goodfellas. Hey, wait a minute. I'm gonna come up from the grave and go, wait a minute, I've done this and did that. No, Goodfellas. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really weird how people react to it. And I could always tell when people go, it was one of my favorite part. And I'm going, oh boy, there's a racist there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and we'll get to that real quick, but so if anybody doesn't they're looking at you and they go, "Wait, wait, wait, I don't remember what part were you in Goodfellas? What part were you?"
I was the truck driver that drove into the diner, and Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta. I nodded to them, and then they stole the truck. And then I went into the diner, came back out. It was all set up. and then I act like I use racial epithets. I blame two black guys. Two N-words stole my truck.
By the time I grew up, there was $30 billion a year in cargo moving through Idlewild Airport, and believe me, we tried to steal every bit of it. So you gotta understand, we grew up near the airport. It belonged to Paulie. And we had friends and relatives who worked all over the place, and they would tip us off about what was coming in and what was moving out. If any of the truckers or airlines gave us any trouble, Paulie had his union people scare them with a strike. It was beautiful. It was an even bigger moneymaker than numbers, and Jimmy was in charge of it all. Whenever we needed money, we'd rob the airport. And to us, it was better than Citibank.
Got a phone? Come on, you got a phone? It's over there. Two just stole my truck. Can you believe that shit, huh? You fucking believe that?
The weird thing is, all my black comic friends go, Golub, I know you improvise those lines. I go, no, I didn't. I didn't improvise those lines. So for 6 years, all these black comics go, Golub, what's up with that shit, man? I go, what? So Mike said you improvise. I didn't. You know what? After 6 years, I said, fuck it. I added 2. All right? How about that? There was one I added 2. But it was in the script. It said, 2 N-words stole my truck. They let me improvise around that, by the way. I got to improvise a Scorsese film. So when I walk into that diner and I grab my balls and curl my tongue, that's my dad. How my dad used to talk. Curl his tongue when he get mad. He said, Dad, if they hit you in the chin, they're going to cut off your tongue. So I was doing my dad. But it's quite, think about my 17-year-old daughter going to a private school in the Valley, Notre Dame, you know of, right? And her friends are like fans of this film. They come over all the time. And so I have a phone. Oh, I should show you. I have a phone outside my house, a regular phone, like from the old days, right? It sits on the porch, and the kids come by and say, 2 Italians stole my truck, or 2, they'll all do the same, but doing different ethnicity backgrounds.
That's so cool. Yeah.
That's one of the most iconic films. When we look at the mafia genre of films, right? You've got The Godfather, you've got Goodfellas. Talk to us about what you did, to get into that role, because originally you were trying to, you were going for the role of Jimmy Burke, right?
Right, correct.
So tell us, like, what you put into preparing for that role and the things that you went through for that.
Well, I was a comic, right? So I'm still a stand-up comic. I would work every night, Monday to Sunday. I was single. I lived in Staten Island, And so somebody said to me, because they know my character, kind of rough, tough, And they say, hey, you should read this book. I'm not a reader, I'm not really that educated. What kept me out of college was high school. So, so they said, read this book called Wise Guys. So I read this book, and I got to tell you something. It's the first time I've ever read a book cover to cover, back to back. It just blew me away. When I read this, I felt like I was in the actual scene. And what used to tick me off was I would see like Raging Bull, Pope of Greenwich Village, right? Great films, right? And I always say, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that guy. That's me. I could do him. And by the way, I look at him, the way we grew up. Hey, that guy tough. So when I read this, I'm going, my God, I really relate to this Jimmy the Gent Burke. The way he grew up, tough, like I did, a big family, and then jail, prison. I had a little organization at the time when I was 18, selling pot. We were doing big numbers, and I had a lot of, so everything about him I could relate to. I felt him. I didn't kill people, I'll admit to, but the thing is that he, everything he did, I felt like, God, I could, I never felt that way in my life. Reading something like this just brought me in. And so I'm driving back after a one-nighter somewhere in Jersey, I can't remember, going back to Staten Island. I used to listen to talk radio or James Brown would keep me alive. James Brown kept me alive, man. But I'm listening to John Gramling, I believe his name, Gramling. And Nicholas Pileggi was on there, who wrote Wise Guys, by the way, incidentally. He's right there's the book I read. By the way, I keep everything. I have my wrestling, all my wrestling write-ups. I keep everything. I'm a
real quick. What weight did you wrestle your senior year?
98.
There you go. You're the little guy. The little guy.
I'm
I like
small,
it.
man.
I asked that because I can share something with you that I was a 4-year letterman in the sport as well.
Oh,
So, oh yeah, it was
what high school?
Austintown Fitch.
I know. Of
And
course.
today, of course, we mentioned in our intro, but we're coming to you live from Schaffen Career and Technical Center, which is downtown Youngstown,
Right.
where Mr. Naples here teaches. So,
Right.
you know, we love this school. This school's awesome, man. They such great equipment and things. If they had this where I went to school, man, I would have skipped film school and went straight to LA afterwards, or
100%.
or build a business here. And so anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
you were talking Nick Pileggi.
Yeah. So like, I couldn't even pronounce the name. Nicholas Pileggi, right? So, excuse me. I'm driving back from one nighter. I'm turning on the race switch and WOR's on John Gramling. If you check it out, he's pretty famous. He's been there, and his dad was there for years. And he says Nicholas Pileggi on, and they're talking about Wise Guys. At the time, it was Wise Guys, like the book I'm showing here. This is the
Yeah.
book I read, too, by the way. And I'm like, they're saying that Scorsese, they might do a film. And I'm going, whoa, wow. So when I go back now, you got to remember at that time, there's no internet. There's nothing. And how do you get, how would you, I have no agent or manager or nothing, right? But I would love to be able to do Jimmy the Gent Burke because I could feel him inside of me. Fuck the acting. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Right. Fuck the acting. It was there. It was in. I felt this guy. You know what I mean? I don't need to feel this way. No, I felt this guy. I wanted a shot just to read for this guy. That's it. That's all I wanted. Just a shot to read. No agent, no manager. How am I going to do this? So.
And real quick, this would have been 1988, right?
1988, right? Yeah. And when I read the book, right, and then when I was driving home and I heard they were going to do this. Now, there's a thing called, for people who know, there's pre-production and there's post. Pre is setting the film up, and then post is, finishing the film up, editing, what have you. So they were like, who do I get to? So there's actually, I saw it yesterday, like, how do I find out, like, who's his agent? I don't, like, what do I know, right? I just wanted an audition. That's all I want. So I figured, like, how do I get to Scorsese, right? No agent, no manager. There was a book where they had a list of different production companies that,
Directories, creative directories.
Yeah, it was like I could show you here, but but what it is, it was once something that had at least production, names on it. So
they have addresses usually, and the production company name on them, and where you can physically, maybe a phone number if you're lucky, where you can physically,
right,
reach out to them. Yeah.
Right. So Barbara DeFina at the time was the producer on the film. She was Scorsese's wife. So what I did was, and remember, I'm a young kid. So I reached out to her. They don't know who I am,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying, hey, listen, I can't remember the exact conversation with her, but they're 6 months out now before they even start. You follow me?
Yeah.
They're in post or pre-production. I don't even know. I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know what, So I just called. I said, listen, so she said, well, way back, and then, it's a long time. Just stay in contact, right? So I got to her through that.
This was
about,
Bob. Was it her directly, or was this like an assistant or a secretary that told you this?
No, probably most likely the secretary at the time. But she knew of me because I had called a couple different times. Who's this kid? You know what I mean? Who's this guy? They don't know if I'm a nut or whatever. You just don't know. And so as I'm trying to find, so I the only thing I knew was, okay, let me call this. No, all they could do is say no, right? So they said, well, look, we're 6 months out, and Irwin Winkler is producing it. So I look Irwin Winkler up. He did Rocky, and and so his assistant, God, I have her name here somewhere because I found it last night. Oh, here it is. Check this out. So It's got coffee stains and all that shit on it. It's old, man. So this was the
Wow.
thing that we were talking about that you could go to, and so it had her name. So her name was Janet Crosby, right? She was assistant to Irwin Winkler, who was going to be the producer on the film, who did the Rockies and what have you. So I called her up, and now what? Oh, so before I called her up, I was trying to figure out where Scorsese's agent or manager was, and he had none. The only thing I could find was he had a lawyer, and his lawyer was, in fact, I sent you that letter where I told him I drove in from Youngstown, right? And his name was Todd Errol. That's what it was, Todd. So I called him up, and what I did was, this is crazy. I'm backing up a little bit here because before I get into to Irwin Winkler, I found out where his address was. So I went to his office, but I didn't go in. I followed him for 2 weeks, and I'd follow him to see the right time I could hit him up and say, "Hey, man, listen, they're doing this film. I heard that they're doing this film from Wise Guys." I waited for 2 weeks. This guy ate at expensive restaurants, by the way. It was costing me a mint. I was trying to put the right time to hit him up, man. When's the right time to hit him up? So after he gets done eating, I follow him back. This is after 2 weeks now. Now, remember, I'm performing at night, every night, Monday to Sundays. I'm doing stand-up. But so during the day, I followed him. So after about 2 weeks, I'm not spending any more fucking money. This is driving me crazy. I would go to the restaurant where he was eating and shit. And then when he came out of his office into the bathroom, I waited at a perfect time. Right when he came out of the bathroom, I said, "Excuse me, do you have a second? Who are you?" And I said, "Well, my name is Bob Golub, and I'm a stand-up comic, and I know Scorsese is doing a film." "Oh, yeah, yeah." And ready? I swear to God, so I lied. I live in Staten Island. I said, "Listen, I drove in from Youngstown, Ohio, man, just to talk to you for just a second of your time." He goes, "Youngstown." He paused. He goes, "Youngstown. All right, come on in." So I sat down with him, and this was the beginning stages of this whole my experience of going after this. He was the first step because again, Scorsese didn't have no agent or managers that I couldn't find on here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all I saw was a lawyer, and I'm reading the papers and all that, trying to pick up what to talk about when the film was gonna. It was really early, so he said to me, he said, "Listen, we're so early in the stages." That's what he told me with pre-production. I didn't know what that was. We're about 6 months away. I said, "Well, I would just like to read for Jimmy to Gent Burke. I read about him in the book." And he goes, "Okay, well, listen, get back with me in a couple weeks." That's when he told me that Irwin Winkler was doing it, and then also Barbara DeFina, the Scorsese's company, that was his wife. So that's when I start doing the research. I said, "Well, let me go get some idea, not only just want to play this guy, but not from the book, but actually get experiences, the way he talked, the way he
Yeah,
walked,
yeah.
how a little bit of everything." That's when I started going out on the street, and I knew I'd have to go to some of the guys and talk to them. And that's my focus was to go down to the hunt and fishing place in Queens that John Gotti at the time, in the '80s. At that time, it was big. Like they had like a
Mhm.
lot of the guys were, you know, they had you might know there's a older guy that would walk around with a like a night coat.
The Chin.
The
Yeah,
Vincent the
like
Chin Gigante.
he act like he was done, like he was like his mind was gone, but he was playing. So it was around that time,
Chin,
It
he
was
was for anybody who doesn't know what you're talking about, the Vincent the Chin Gigante. The Chin really played it up. He played that persona like he
yeah,
was
right,
he was
right.
crazy. That was
But see,
to escape prosecution. Like he
yeah,
was yeah, he's a character, that guy. But go ahead.
no, that was the time, and then then Gotti whacked a guy coming out of he was from Staten Island at the place called the White House. He killed. It was a mob. It was like really intense in New York. Giuliani was I got a story about him. He was, everything was like, really heightened. It was really mob area. Uh, so I figured, like I knew about Gotti. I see him on TV all the time. That John Miller, the reporter, kept following him around. So I'm going to go down and ask them about Jimmy the Gent Burke. So I go down to Queens. I do stake it out a little bit before I go, a day, two. Then I go back the third day. And there's the necks outside, there's about 4 or 5 of them. And I said, look, hey, I'd like to talk to John. The guy goes, what? The fuck you want to do? Who are you? So I'm an actor. I was an actor. And Scorsese, you're doing this film. And, I just wondered I talked to John. What are you, fucking nuts? I said, no. And they're looking at me and then looking back at each other. This fucking kid, the whole thing. And I'm going, why I want to talk to him. Can I talk to him about just, maybe how he walks or talks or whatever, smokes? And he goes, yo, what? You want to talk? Get the fuck out of here. And he goes, oh, you're an actor. Well, act like a fucking runner and run the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. This fucking nut motherfucker. It was that kind of like out of a fucking scene. And I found out later from the FBI I was on tape too. But so they said, so I went back the next day. And I said, I'd like to ask John just a couple questions about Jimmy the Gent Burke. And he said, I'm going to tell you again for the fucking second time, you motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going, oh, are you serious? No, he wants to know if we're serious. Like, that type of thing. So.
Well, I can only imagine for, some kid walking in off the street. I want to talk to John Gotti. That alone is is a movie quality scene right there. But keep going.
Well, dude, listen, it's naivete. By the way,
it's balls. It's you're from this area.
Do not do what I did. Don't do that. I mean, what the fuck? I just look, I have no way. I'm sick and tired of not getting a shot. Like, all these people, agent, manager. I can't just give me let me just read for the thing. That's all I want. So fast forward a little bit, I'm going back. Now I find out that they're in production, or not production, in actually, quote, in pre-production. So they're starting to get it going. The script is written, right? And so I call back the lawyer, and he said, well, let me just tell you, I can't make that decision. If you want to get an audition, that's going to have to go through the casting director, which will not even set up yet. That he's telling me the process, Then when I found out Irwin Winkler, I looked him up and I said, oh, this guy did Rocky, right? So I call anybody. So I call, obviously. And Janet, I just found Crosby, and she's very kind. Now, what I do is when I call her, I always say that whatchamacallit told me to call you. So in other words, even though he might have told me to call her, you
got a referral. Yeah.
They're not going to call each other and go, oh, did he, So being I'm calling by a name and she knows the lawyer, it gives me some cred. At least, I'm not a wacko calling. And she was very kind. And here's what I did. Check this out. She said, Bob, she's very nice. She said, Bob, we're way ahead of time right now. I said, I start doing research, and she goes, just we're like 6 months out. Could you get back with me in another month? So what I did was I sent her a cactus, not a flower, a cactus that she could put on her desk. That every time that I call, she'll fucking look at the cactus and remember me. And so she would say, call back in 30 days. Bam. 30 days, I call her. I said, hey, you told me to call. I'm back. She goes, and she was very kind. She goes, Bob, we're still early in the stages. Just stay back. Call me another 30 days. So in that meantime of that 30 days, I'm out doing some research into Jimmy, the Gent Burke. So I find out, and I don't remember exactly how, but he has a daughter. He had two, but I remember he had a daughter that had, someone told me. Now, by the way, I'm in a comedy club, so a lot of guys own the comedy clubs. Well, why? Some of them, which these comics will never experience today. But so they told me, one guy said, Bob, he has a daughter. She has a jewelry place in Little Italy. I don't remember her name, but I went down there and I said, hey, same thing. My name is Bob Golub. I'm a comic and actor doing this thing. And I just wonder if I could ask you a little about your dad. And she goes, like the typical Italian woman, what the fuck do you want? Whoa, I'm just asking you, I'm just wondering, if I could ask you how he talked. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to talk to you. So I leave that, and then I try her one more time again, another week. And, she sees me come in and she puts her hands up like this. I'll never forget it. And like, I could see her face. And she's a good looking girl too, a woman. And she said, "Get the fuck out of here." And she had like customers there and shit. There's a jewelry place.
Oh man, you really stepped in it.
Yeah. Well, again, what are you going to do? Kill me? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
And so again, as we go further, I call Erwin Winkler's office again, and they, Janet and my cactus. "Hi, Bob. We're still 4 or 5 months out. No, but there at that point was like 3 months, 4 months before they actually start shooting." And she said, "Okay." I said, "I'll call you back in 30 days." In the meantime, I was working a place called the Comedy Club. It was in Yonkers, and Frank D'Amico, I can mention his name. He's dead now. He was a comic, and his friend was part owner of it. He was a wise guy. And so Frank said to me, now, by the way, I'm also going to other places in Manhattan and in Queens and stuff, asking questions. Who the fuck is this kid asking questions? Is he a cop? The word gets out fast. I'll be honest with you. People think New York's big, but it really comes small when you're dealing with that kind of stuff. They talk, some the shootings. No, what's it called? Junkers. Anyways, the comedy club. So Frank said to me, "Bob," and I'm closing the show, and he said, "Bob, somebody wants to talk to you." I'm like, "What?" So his partner was, I can't remember his name, was Wise. He goes, "Hey, my friend wants to take you for a ride." I'm like, "The fuck's that?" So, like, I was like a little nervous, but not too nervous. Like, what do they want to know? And he goes, "Well, they just want to talk to you." So I'm in the car. I can visually see me coming out of the comedy club now. And I sat in the car. There's a guy in the back, right out of a movie. Guys behind me.
Doesn't say a word, right?
Doesn't say shit. Doesn't say shit. Okay.
Wow.
And then before I look at Frank, I go, "Well," he goes, "No, it's good." Every time you hear, "Oh, it's good," that scares me a little bit. Like, "Oh, it's all good. No, we're friends." So we go for a ride. The show hasn't started. The people starting to come in. Now I'm headlining the show. So, but guy, only when I close the door and we start taking off a little bit, that I got a little weakness in my knees, where you feel like, ooh, I don't know if this is good, because I told you years ago I had my own shit going, I had guns and all that, but this was the real deal, and like I had a little weakness, confident attitude, but then all of a sudden a little bitch comes in me. I'm showing them that, right? I can feel the knees. My knees are a little weak going, what the fuck? And I'm thinking, they can't kill me. If they kill me, who's going to close the show? I mean, like,
They need to close it.
kill me. You're not going to have no show,
Yeah, they'd wait till after the show to do it. They wouldn't do it before the show.
Right. I still don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, it's like one time I fought a lifer in Western Penitentiary. It was like 90% black, and I went in there, a little white dude with long hair. You couldn't show you were afraid because they'd eat that up. So I couldn't show I was afraid, but my knees, I swear to God, I keep saying this.
Well, and I can only imagine this is before Goodfellas.
Right.
This is the 80s. The most famous mob scene in this situation that you could probably think of is The Godfather.
Yeah.
Right? Leave the gun, take the cannoli, right? Or the scene with they did it twice in The Godfather
with Carlo.
With Carlo.
Yeah,
where Carlo gets in the front seat and the guy's in the back, and then that's the one way ride. You don't come back.
And he's right behind you.
Bob, you do have a connection with my family. My Uncle Sandy did time in Western State Penitentiary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 33 to 43.
Wow.
That was yeah. That was when you got linked up with the Pittsburgh guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in a place called Northwest Regional Correctional Facility, and the funny thing is that they call it a country club. When I went down there to fight this guy, it was a lifer, and he fucked me up. I found out when I go back a couple years later that to do stand up, believe it or not, 7 years later, that guy I fought was called the Animal. I don't want to get off just too much with this, but that guy I found out killed 2 people with his hands. He was going to turn pro. Nobody would fight him. I didn't know. I was new. I was a 91th inmate. I'm the one that fights this fucking guy. And they let him out of the gate. He was locked up in a fucking cage called 23-1. They let him out 1 hour. He'd work out. All his thing was he wanted to fight. No one would fight him. When I fought him, and I knew he'd come out, he was overweight, no teeth, bald head. I looked at him and he said, I'm going to kill you. And I hit him 6 times in his face, looked at me and said, I'm going to kill you. So, but that fear I'm talking about, when I walk out and they're animal, 1,500 people, and I come out, I'll jump over 3 fine bitch and get your ass. Fuck you, motherfucker. Trying to act confident. So when I was in that car and the guy's behind me and the guy's driving, I try to act confident, but I'm telling you again, not to keep redundant, but my knees, there's a weakness in your knees that you go, I don't know, like this is the real fucking deal. These guys are real. This ain't like TV shit. So they said, why are you going down bothering Jimmy's daughter? The first thing he said to me. And I said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Now, I'm not paraphrasing exact words. I don't remember exact words, right? I'm paraphrasing it. So, but this is the gist of it. And I said, well, I went down. He said, you went down twice. Yeah. Why are you bothering her? Well, oh, by the way, side note, I went also to prison to meet Jimmy the Gent Burke. He was in Lewisburg prison. I went to the prison, by the way. They wouldn't, obviously, as you know, your name got to be down. I figured, fuck it, I'm going to go anyways. I was crazy. I went. And I know that you can't let you in, but I'm asking them, and I didn't get in to meet Jimmy. So this guy, we're driving, and it's before the show, and he said, "Why are you down there?" I said, "I'm just asking how he walks. I don't know, just a little bit of character stuff." And she goes, "You fucking leave people alone." Then he goes down to then he turns over his shoulder like this. So then he goes to fucking Jimmy's goes down to John's place. The fuck's wrong with you? I go, I'm just asking. You got to leave these fucking. First of all, I hear about you going down at the daughter's one more fucking time. You're gonna have some problems. And you go down to John's place? Are you fucking nuts? I go, man. Now I'm trying to double talk. I just trying to talk my way. I don't know. At this point, I can feel the tension. Like
it could go one of two ways.
Right? And the guy's to me. He ain't said a fucking word. He's behind me, and I'm thinking I'm gonna get the thing. The bow tie, whatever they call it, or the
garrote, right?
What's that?
Yeah, the garrote.
Yeah,
garrote.
You get garroted. That's what.
Yeah,
that's
the whole thing, And so as we're driving, and this ain't long, as I'm saying, like maybe 10, 15 minutes, long enough to almost shit my pants, But so what happened was he said, look, we know you're going around town, and this and that, asking people. You're doing too many questions. People are getting nervous. I said, but I'm not a cop. I mean, you know I'm not a cop. I mean, you can see I'm a comic. Yeah, but your comic is an asshole. We want you to leave fucking people. I said, okay, I'm not going to go down to Hunt and Fish place there in Queens, John's place. I'll leave the daughter alone. But can I still do a little research? Hey, you fucking don't be a fucking. No, I'm not being wise. I'm just saying. And then I swear my mother, this is the God's truth. I said, look, I got it. I'm not going to do it. I will leave everybody alone. Okay, I'm just thinking. Goes, all right, you go with that? I say, I'm good with that. And I swear my mother, he turns around and says, hey, you remind me of a little Jimmy, don't he? They actually said that. And they said, hey, I said, how did he smoke? How the fuck did he get it? And they said he had a cigarette. So they were telling me some stuff about Jimmy. And they said, this guy reminds me of Jimmy a little bit. And so they dropped me off. And I did my show. They didn't whack me. That was a part of the thing that started some of the stuff that happened. And then it went further as, I went back out and did more research. I didn't go down to the daughter's place. I didn't go to John Gotti's place. I went to, just asking people at different clubs, because they already gave me a little idea about him, how he talked a little bit. He said, his mannerisms, he carried himself like a fighter like you do. And he smoked. And he'd always smoke with his hand like this. They would show me different things, right? So I figured, hey, again, I don't even know if I'm going to get an audition. I figured I'd try to be prepared if I ever do, just get that. And that was the first phase of how it started. And then I start going to ask more people about him. And then I called Erwin Winkler's office up, Janet, with my cactus. I said, how are we doing now? You told me to call 30 days. It's 30 days. She said, well, I'm going to call Scorsese's wife. What was her name? God, I just told you.
Defino.
Huh?
Defino.
No. It's Barbara Defina. Yeah, Barbara Defina. And Barb, so what I did was I said that Erwin Winkler told me to call you, right? And so I have a name, something to, give me some cred. She's very kind. And she said, we're about a month away. She knew about me. She said, I heard about you through, not through John Gotti and him, but through, just
all your calls to the production office. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the lawyer and what have you, they knew about me, and they knew I wasn't. Well, they didn't know if I was crazy or not. I don't know, but she said, "Well, what we're going to try to do is get you an audition," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, right?" And then I don't know if that's exact words. She said that there's some. We want someone to meet you first. So I go in to meet this casting director. And I don't know I don't know what it is. But all I do know is I got one shot. Right? So I never took acting lesson, but I went and talked to this acting teacher. And I said, hey, what should I prepare for if I go in? Because I'm having they want to meet me, right? Can't believe it, right? It's the casting director wants to meet me. She's big. She done a lot of movies since then. Oh God. Ellen Lewis. She was an attractive woman, and she wanted to meet me. I didn't know, so I called. I had it was like a week later. She wanted to meet me. In that week, I met with this acting teacher, and I said, "Hey, what should I do?" And he goes, "Man, you're you. Just be you, because you're like a guy.
You're a character, yeah."
Yeah, you're a character. You don't have to do it. Just be you. And I go, what do you mean just be me? Just be, dude, I'm talking. He didn't say dude. He said, just be you. And, know you got one shot. Now I'm thinking one shot, right? One shot, right? I don't know it's a general meeting. What do I know what a general meeting is? I don't have no idea what a general meeting is. All I know is I got one shot. After 6 months of research, I'm going in. And I'm going in as Jimmy. I had my hair slicked back. I had everything. I had a 9mm loaded. I had handcuffs, 2,000 cash. The pinky ring worth $5,000.
You had a real piece loaded, rolling into this casting, this meeting with the casting director.
That's correct. And handcuffs, and because I realized that I got one shot, so I'm going to make sure I got so I got the gun, I got the my buddy gave me a pinky ring worth $5,000. I had the chain. And the hair, I was in character, right? I'm ready to go in for Jimmy the Gent to meet Martin Scorsese. By the way, her office, and I could visualize sitting right there in her office. Behind her was another casting director who did all the Woody Allen films. So I knew this from doing my research, but I didn't know she was in the same office. So I could see her there. And she's talking to me. I said, well, Barbara asked me to meet with you. They were curious. And, I said, okay. So we're talking a little bit. And I said, well, where's Marty? They're going to meet Marty. I thought that's what it was. I had my one shot. And she goes, no, this is, you're not going to meet Marty. That's doesn't work. What do you mean? Because I got to say this again. I think I got one shot, and that's it. And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean I can't meet Marty? I thought, what am I doing here? And I'm in character, right? And I said, listen, you could take this here. And I showed her, or this, the $2,000, but you're going to get one of them. And she looked at me and she goes, I think you should go. And now, this moment in life, sometimes we take what do we do? Do I handcuff her? Handcuff her to me, right? This way, she can't get away.
You're just digging yourself a deeper hole.
Right? We're together, right? And she has to get Marty now to talk to me because we're handcuffed. So when I put that $2,000 down, all hundreds, by the way, had everything fucking set. Hundreds right there, the gun loaded. I mean, I'm telling you, it was loaded. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole thing, What do you mean? What the fuck you mean I can't mean? Fuck you. Who you think you're talking to? Here, take this or this. What do you want? Get out of here. I don't. She was like, I think you should leave. Very calm. All right. I'm thinking I'm gonna handcuff her. I didn't. I leave. Character, all that. I'm on the subway. I'm crying like a little bitch. I spent 6 months of my life. I ruined this fucking thing, this chance. I'm done. So I'm at my place in Staten Island. 2 weeks go by, and I get a call. Now I'm talking like this, doing this and that, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing, right? And she calls me and she goes, "Is this Bob?" And she goes, "Oh, this is Alan Lewis." And I go, "Hey, how are you, Alan?" My voice like it's like totally different. "Hi, how are you?" Hey, hi, how are you? I said, "Listen, we want you to come in and read for something, and like you could feel it in your body, but you come and get sides." I don't know what fucking sides were. I had no idea. Sides, by the way, for people who don't know, is just like when I read for a film today. They give you sides you could read.
They don't give you the whole script, Jimmy. They give you they give you just like a page, and sometimes they're small, but it's just a selection to read.
Yeah, it's like a scene. It's a scene from the film that you read, and I didn't know what it was. So I went in and got it. I'll never forget this because I went in and I said to the woman at the front, I said, "Hey, I'm Bob Golub." They told me, "Oh, you're Bob." Like a little smile on her face, like because I realized later that they really liked me. They said, "This guy's like the real deal, like not an act, like
he's brilliant."
Whatever it was. So I get the sides, and then I hear Alan Lewis go. I said, "Thank her so much. I really appreciate it." Very calm, so like, And she goes, "Oh, Bob, they like you. Just get that down." I said, "But I don't know what to do." And that's when I went back to the casting. I really the acting teacher said, "Look, I don't, And the scene I was going to read for, was the scene with Sonny Bambo, I think. Sonny, the one owned the restaurant that they.
Yeah. So he ends up going to Paulie and asking him to go partner up with him. That guy.
Right. That scene. So I can't go here. I can't go there. What do you want me to do? And then you remember that scene?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what happens was, so I go in and they're going to say, "You're going to read from Martin Scorsese." I said, "You know what, man? I got it. I got what I wanted to do. Now I'd like to get the part, right? But so I walk in and there's Martin Scorsese. Now, fast forward, when I got those sides, a couple weeks later, I was reading, maybe a week later, I don't remember. I know it was at least a week. And I'm like, I'm ecstatic. Like I got what I achieved. I just wanted the audition to meet Scorsese. And I walk in there and there's a guy. He goes, "Hey, you're Bob, right? Yeah. You're crazy. You're fucking crazy. Yeah, you go down to Johnny's place, you go to this place. You're not. All right. Here's the scene. Like, because you're sitting here. You're going to tax this guy to come in to help you with your restaurant, okay?" He said, "Did you read the stuff? Did you read the scene?" Yeah. Yes, sir." So I'm there and I'm talking to him. And I grab this fucking guy and I pull him over the desk. He goes, No. You wouldn't do that. No. You wouldn't grab him like that. No. He starts laughing. And he says, No, you wouldn't do that. He's like kind of the wise guy. He's like the Godfather. You wouldn't do that to him. So, okay, I don't know. Because I know. No, okay, let's do it again. And what he did was he didn't watch it. He would go like this. Can you see me? He would sit there. I'll never forget. It actually was like this. When I came in the office here, he was sitting there. The desk was behind me. I just saw, even though he was behind me, I could sense it. He was like listening. He wasn't watching. He was listening to the cadence of, how it was going, And so I got done with that scene. And I just said, "Mr. Scorsese, I told him, that this is my dream and this is my Rocky story." And he goes, "Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, but by the way," so the casting director, I got to fast forward. Back on this. So when Alan Lewis called me, she said, "Listen, come and get the sides. You can meet Scorsese, but don't bring guns. Don't be yourself. Martin doesn't like guns.
Leave the gun. Yeah.
Leave the guns. Don't slick your hair back. Just come as you. Don't dress up. I don't need no chains. or anything else. She didn't know about the handcuffs, but she said, "Don't bring no guns and just be you. Just be you. Don't, you know." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I went in as me, but there was Scorsese. So when she told me that, she called me, Scorsese don't like guns, right?
So you read this scene though, and we all remember that scene in the movie. That guy's scared. He's scared of Tommy. He's scared of Pesci's character, who beat him, over the head and is taking advantage of him, not paying his tab.
Yeah, he goes,
So
yes, it's $7,000 here. I never forget numbers. I think it was 7, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he's scared, he's desperate, he's weak. It's a weak moment where he's going to Paulie the boss. Paul Sorvino in the movie plays that character. So I imagine he's probably listening to when he's not watching you give that performance. He's listening. He wants to hear it in your voice, right? He wants to hear, maybe that fear or that something. But you didn't. You're saying to me like you really didn't understand what the scene was at the time.
Yeah. I didn't really understand.
That's hard for actors coming in blind usually, or they only give them that selection on that side. They don't know what scene that is, or they don't get a lot of direction in these things. Usually, you come in and they want to see a cold read or something. So go ahead now. You did the scene for him. What happens there?
Well, just back to what you said. A lot of times, to give you an example, like I just read for something yesterday, right? And I'm reading for something today. Sometimes they don't give you the script, or they just give you stuff and you have to fill in the blanks, right? You got to bring the stuff. So that's what I did. I didn't know. I don't know why. I swear to God, I'd have to think about it, where I actually grabbed. I know I grabbed him and pulled him over the thing. I snatched that fucker, right? And so, no, you wouldn't do. But the weird thing is, so when I'm leaving, like, I can't tell you, I felt like I was 2 inches. I mean, literally a foot off the ground.
Yeah.
I achieved. I felt high, man. Like really fucking high for some good skunk or something. Like really high, man. And I mean, when I come out,
Some of that good Sharon stuff.
no, man, this is like I felt like
I'm kidding.
I felt like I was floating, and it was called the Warner Building. And I went down and I came out. And I felt like I just seen this first guy. I swear to God, I go, "Hey man, I just met Martin Scorsese." He goes, "I give a fuck about this." Still like a New Yorker. I swear to God, like, "No man, I just met Martin Scorsese." I had to tell somebody, right? This guy, I didn't even fucking know who he was. I just come out of the building. Now I just met Martin Scorsese. He goes, "Oh fuck," he just keeps moving. He like, you don't care, like maybe I'm lying or whatever, or he doesn't give a fuck, who knows? But
that was the bell here. If you didn't hear it here at Schaffen, the class here letting out, school's letting out. But so if you hear anything or see anything, that's what's going on behind us, Bob. But we got about 10 minutes left. We're gonna wrap it up. But we're gonna definitely come back and talk to you again. But hold on, we have to get to, you left your meeting. You're feeling great. You just met, you manifested this. You made it happen.
right,
You made it happen.
correct.
Which I tell people all the time that, especially you come back, they ask me why I come back to Youngstown or whatever, or I got kids, they say, "Oh, I'm bored." Listen, make it happen. You want to do something fun, make it happen. So you did it, man. That's great, but keep going.
Yeah. So I remember I'm performing every night now, Monday to Sunday. That was the '80s. There was so much work, right? And so, I just kind of forgot. I didn't forget about it. I was in the back. I mean, the high was still there. I tell everybody, I do the shows. Even when I do a stand-up, "Hey, man, I met Martin Scorsese, like in my act." But then 2 weeks later, I get a call from Alan Lewis. She calls me and she said, "Hey, Marty really liked you. Really, he loved you. And they're going to find for something for you in a movie." I'm like,
Wow.
I can't, I can't believe that, right? And then they found this part there, the truck driver, which incidentally, I could tell you, about the film. I mean, when we did it, like I was the first day they shot and all kinds of stuff. When I was on the bus and they were taking us, I was sitting Scorsese's father right next to me, and it was the first day they shot.
They shot your scene first day.
Yeah, and you know what other scene they shot too? Do you remember the truck where they would the garbage truck, the guys fell out? I don't know if you remember, like that one scene. They shot that, and you know who was there? Oh, by the way, that walk I did, they did 5 different costume changes. I did that walk more than anything. I did that walk 24 times, 25 times. Because Scorsese kept saying, "to Village." I didn't know what that meant. kind of gay, I guess. I'm not sure. But then every time they would switch to uniform, and then he'd have me say, walk like a trucker. And go, I don't know what that means. In fact, to show you how naivete I was and how green I was, why they love me, was I'm on the set. I'm a blue collar guy. My truck breaks down. I get up, I start working on the truck, and I swear to God, the guy goes, second AD, hey, Marty, the kid's working on the truck. No, he goes, comes up, no, don't touch the truck. This is all union. You can't touch the truck. I go, well, I was trying to fix it. It broke down. You can't do that. He's like, like it's a major production. They have fucking people to do that. I don't know. I grew up in Sharon, Pennsylvania. I'm going to fix the truck. I'll never forget the guy that he must have been the first AD. He goes, Marty, the kid's trying to fix it, and I could hear him laugh. Well, that's why I think they like me, because I was so real, so honest, I guess. And but yeah, I mean, it's just the shoot itself was unbelievable. I mean, Lorraine Bracco was very nice to me because she saw how many times I was just doing the walk, and the two lines there to and where stole my truck. But then in between that, I had to add some stuff like, can you fucking believe that? That was all me. They let me just go with the motion, what was happening, Yeah. And then, of course, when I came in, I grabbed myself, my nuts, like my dad would do that. So I did my dad. But it was like, and so even the nod, how
clearly he loved it because it was in the movie.
To have my own scene, I mean, it's unbelievable, And then Ray and them and Pesci. So when I would walk by them, just a nod was like, we worked on that. That's how detailed he is. Scorsese goes, you got to make it very not obvious, but not, in other words, the audience is going to know, but no one else is going to know. So you got to do so that walk up to the thing was more important than anything. Once I get in the diner, I just did me, and the lines, But, and if you look real close, because we looped, I never actually used the phone.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I just act like I'm using it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So in other words, I'm not really if you really look at the detailed thing, it's looped a little bit and I'm not actually doing it.
Yeah.
Doing the phone. So technically I would be doing that, but there's a small little detailed things you never pick up, even like a young.
Yeah. No, the audience never picks up a lot of those things. I guarantee it, because like I said, we've seen it 100 times. You don't notice that, but that's great, man. That is, like I said, it lives forever in the pantheon of great films. Not even just mob films, great films. It is one of the top 5, man. It is people's favorites, and it's such a cool thing. You made it happen. At any point did you get to tell Marty where you were from or anything about Youngstown at all?
I'm sure that his lawyer, probably, look, I'm just a small dude. Like, they're not worrying about me, right? What I'm saying is that they knew about me and they liked me. In fact, even after this, when they did Cape Fear, if I stayed in New York, I probably would have worked on a lot of projects. And you can say, oh, you're in LA, why don't you just go? It's not like going and actually saying, hey, Yeah. So when they were doing Cape Fear, I'd call up the office and they go, Bobby, there's nothing for you here, but stay in touch. I was able to get that relationship with them because they like me. But I'm sorry, what did you ask?
No, I was just curious because there's we debunked, again, in that previous Youngstown Mob Talk episode we did about the truth about Youngstown and Goodfellas. We debunked a lot of these things. There's an internet rumor. If you go on imdb.com, which if anybody who's not in the movie business, that's like the movie where all the movie credits, you can find every credit. Yeah. So if you go to that site and you look at Goodfellas and you look at the trivia sections, it actually says in there, somebody put this in there, that he put a Youngstown Marty Scorsese personally put a Youngstown Vindicator in Goodfellas as a nod to Youngstown, right? Like some homage to to Youngstown. But I can tell you that when I was in LA, we had shopped a series around a scripted series about Youngstown. And of all the, when I came back here, the option period expired. And so another guy picked up the rights to it and I was the writer of it, co-writer at the time with true crime author Alan May. We had this big presentation and pitched and everything, written. And this boxing promoter bought the rights to it, of all people. His name was Mike Akery, and he was from Youngstown, but he did a lot of promoting in Erie, PA.
Right.
He promoted Camacho and Duran. He promoted those guys' fights.
I actually fought up there. I did a 5-rounder up there.
Yeah. You probably might have came across Mike Akery. But Mike loved the Youngstown Mob story,
Right.
and he wanted to tell it so bad. But he didn't have Hollywood connections so much that he just had connections and entertainment connections. Right. And he ended up getting it to a quick one sheet to Scorsese or something.
Wow.
And the word came back that through telephone that he never heard of Youngstown, or that he wasn't familiar with it.
And but, I mean, his lawyer knew right away.
No. But what I'm saying though is, I don't think he knew Youngstown's mob story,
right?
At all. So whoever put that out there in that trivia section on IMDb, that it was a personal connection to Youngstown, that's craziness. We debunked that in that previous episode, but
we have when you think about the film he did, oh my God, with De Niro and
his original Mean Streets.
Mean Streets.
Yeah.
That would be the Youngstownish type of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of blue collar. That, you know what I mean? That not the talk, but kind of like that really.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that I would hard to believe that he wouldn't know about Youngstown, Ohio. Maybe not about the mob and all that, but it's kind of.
Well, Eddie told me a story where Ed O'Neill was filming a movie with Pacino, and Pacino asked him one time, "Ed, where are you from?" And Ed told him Youngstown, Ohio. And he goes, "Never heard of it," but he said, "Are there any Italians there?" That's what I'm getting at is, even people don't know that aren't from here.
We got more fucking paisans here than anywhere else in the country other than New York City.
Exactly.
I mean,
the huge Italian population around here.
By the way, I call Youngstown the toughest town in America per capita. And it is. Look at all the fighters that come out that won world championships. I got to tell you straight out, I say that all the time. Whitetown is the toughest town in America per capita. Case closed. Look at the fucking championships. 7 championships came out of there.
It's crazy. There's so many great fighters. There's actors. There's people in entertainment. People like yourself. People like Eddie. There's so many great. The Mount Rushmores, right? Of the come out of Youngstown. Sports is what it's probably chiefly known for, because so many athletes around this area. But
a lot of musicians too, man. We talk about a lot of musicians. They came in the area. When you say Youngstown, Sharon, Youngstown, an area. It's a cool area.
It's the Valley, we call it.
The Valley.
The Valley.
And it's funny because you're in LA and you got the Valley in LA.
Right.
It's a different valley for sure.
Well, you know what's funny, Bob? When my Uncle Joey was coming up in the mob and stuff, they ran the area which was called the Sharon Line.
Wow.
And that was 422, and then of course 616 up in the Hubbard and up in the Measurement Sharon.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But that was their territory. That was what they actually referred to it as, the Sharon Line.
Because Joey had a place called the Silver Star on 616. It was between Hubbard and Youngstown. And it was a nightclub. He used to disco in the 70s. I went over there, and he used to have that place. By the way, can I ask him? Your one of your uncles did not have a couple daughters that were blondes that were beautiful? Do you have some nieces?
I don't have any nieces. It would have been one of my great uncles. So I'm thinking Billy did have a daughter, but he only had one daughter that I know of.
Right. Okay.
And Joey didn't have any kids.
Yeah. I heard that, but I know for a fact that I met a girl, a blonde, beautiful, and she was related to you folks. And because there used to be a card game in Niles. So. Okay. But I know that 616, people, like we talk about that, they don't realize that they ran the whole town. It wasn't like bits and pieces, like they're all broke up with the families in New York. No, there's pretty much, when I was growing up, man, I knew, I told you the story about the pot thing, with Joey. I knew all about that situation, man.
We're gonna have to save that one for
We'll get together again.
another episode,
Because
Bob.
this was fun.
How
That
long
was
did
great.
you do? I have no idea.
What-
We're about an hour.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies when we're doing this. Me and him could sit on here for 3-4 hours at a time.
It goes quick,
we
man.
just could.
It goes quick, and that's why we love him. The Kenny Hyderis at the Sunrise Inn and the Robbins Theater. He asked us one day, "Do you want to do a live show? You want to do it on stage with an audience?" With an audience, sure, yeah, live audience, great. We'll give it a shot. We didn't think anything of it. We sold the place out, 1,400 seats earlier this year. So
Can I tell you something? That's amazing, man. And
I
congratulations.
wish, thank you so much. I wish you were back here for November, because this Cav Bomb show is going to be insane. We got the original the bombing survivor of the Cavallero bombing coming back. We got an FBI agent who worked the case coming back. Briar Hill Jimmy Mullador. We got all that coming up November 10th. But we're going to do more of these shows.
If we could put something together, I'll tie in some stand up around it. That's all. So in other words, that's what I do. I circle stuff. Like I don't no reason to be in Vegas and there. So I'll try to do something in Cleveland or Pittsburgh. So let me know. That's something we can talk about.
Absolutely. And I think if again, Bob is a born comedian. That's his first a trade, right? He's a comedian first and foremost. So Bob plays a lot. If when he's in town, make sure you catch him, because he was just in town recently. Please, Bob, where can people find you? Where can they find your stuff?
They just put it, just Bob Golub, Google it, man. I'm not, I have bobgolub.com. I haven't worked on that for like 6 months. I had somebody handling it, but I put stuff up all the time on TikTok.
Where can we see like your tour, like where or not your tour, but where you're going to be next or anything? Is you get bobgolub.com?
To be honest with you, man, I cleared my schedule because I've been up for these films. So now I'm just starting to rebook now. So I go to Vegas anytime. Pretty much they're booked ahead of time. If I want to go to Vegas, I can go to Vegas. I go to Tropicana, call Harry. But they would go to bobgolub.com. We'll start posting, because I was worked in Poland. I did a show in Poland.
Yeah, and social media. You said where?
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. There's only one Bob Golub. I mean, really,
And real quick, he just mentioned, Jim. He played a show in Poland, not Poland Township.
Right. So I'm back to my hometown, and I tell him, I tell my friend, he says, "When are you coming back?" I said, "I'm working in Poland." He goes, "Oh, I just saw someone else." I go, "No, I'm talking Poland, the country." He goes, "You speak Poland?" I go, "No, you dumb fuck. That's called Polish. I don't speak the country. I'm fucking going to Poland." And he goes, "Why are you doing that?" I go, "I'm going to perform." He goes, "Well, how are they going to understand you?" I go, "You are really a dumb fuck. By the way, you're not a Polak. No, they fucking speak English. Everyone else speaks 2 languages. I'm going to a place that speaks fucking English." He goes,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't get that. Over in Europe, man, they speak English and then whatever their native language is. And it's not like us lazy fucks over here in the United States.
Go to Italy.
We only know fucking English, right?
You go to.
Uh-oh. What do you think happened there? You think
we lost Bob? Maybe he got whacked or something.
They finally got Bob. Uh-oh. No, it's okay. We'll bring Bob back again. That was fantastic. I mean, he made it happen.
Absolutely. It's that Youngstown intestinal fortitude of the people from this valley, man.
Drive, determination. He'd never acted before, and he said he wanted to be in Goodfellas, in this Martin Scorsese movie. He put himself in the position to be cast in the movie. He made it happen. He did the research. He did all the legwork. He made it happen and put him, you get in the room with Martin Scorsese and boom, he's in the Goodfellas. So what a story.
Absolutely. It's a great
They should make a movie about that story. Just trying to get in Goodfellas.
Right. I mean,
Bob, we're going to call you. We got, that's our next one. If anybody likes that idea, we'll pick that one up. But yeah, that was great. So I met Bob. He was in town recently. He was doing a show, and I just got to meet him when he was in town. And I said, "Man, you got to tell that story on Youngstown Mob Talk."
Awesome, and thanks, Bob, for doing that. We really appreciate it. It's a great story. It's inspiration, really, to people.
Now, yeah, I don't recommend bringing a gun to a casting session.
Well, no,
he was one step away from a felony in there. He was either going to get the role or he's going to get the the cuffs.
Yeah, literally. But it is a good story, and it's it shows that hard work, perseverance, and not taking no for an answer can get you places.
Yeah, and it's another connection to Youngstown and Goodfellas.
Yeah, how about that?
Another one. When I wasn't even too aware of when we did our first episode.
We're starting to have all these connections between Youngstown and Goodfellas. Marty, if you're listening out there, come on, man, what are you waiting for?
If you're listening, and we know that you are.
I mean, we got a movie, we got a series, whatever you want. There's enough of it here.
Hey, look, maybe we're just going to make it happen ourselves.
Yeah,
Jim.
Maybe that's what we got to do.
Yep. Until next time, guys, we're going to get out of here. On behalf of our sponsors, thank you. What we'd like you guys to do is, because they support us, so we need you to support them. And the easiest way you can do that is finding them on social media. Give them a like. Just give them a like.
Yep.
That's the easiest way that you can help us, is giving our sponsors a like, showing them that, that you're a fan, that you thank us. So, we appreciate it. And gosh, I think that wraps it up, buddy.
Yeah. For Johnny Chechitelli, I'm Jimmy Naples. This has been another edition of Youngstown Mob Talk. We'll see you guys next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.
That was an amazing podcast from an amazing podcast company. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like and subscribe buttons and share it with your friends. It goes a long way in helping us produce more amazing content.